Just gonna walk and talk about chat. Make it look like it's important.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2026 ESO Seasons Direct. I'm Susan Kath, and this is Nick Giacomini, and we are happy to be here with you today.
A few months ago, we introduced everyone to Seasons. If you missed our stream, here's a quick refresher. Seasons are roughly 90-day windows that give us space to focus on what you've been asking for, like meaningful updates to combat, systems, and rewards, while still delivering the rich stories and exploration that make ESO feel like home. We want to make sure there's always something new and exciting happening in Tamriel. All seasonal content is free for anyone who owns the game. No gates or barriers, just hop in and play.
Since we first talked about all of this in January, we've already introduced some of the changes with an update earlier this month. Things like the first round of player experience improvements, updates to the Dragon Knight class visuals, and more. And with today's show, we're going to go deeper in the details on Seasons 0, 1, and 2, our 2026 seasons, and some of our developers will be joining us to speak to these changes in greater detail. But as we said earlier this year, we very much want to shape the future of ESO with more community collaboration. And so we're very pleased to welcome some special community guests today to join us in roundtable discussions with our team.
That collaboration is a big part of why this year feels so different. In addition to the many improvements that we just launched, with more coming throughout the year, your feedback has shaped this year's features, like solo dungeons and our first version of challenge difficulty. And we're pushing boundaries with new experimental offerings that expand ESO in ways you haven't seen before, like the Night Market, our new action-packed group zone that's coming in Season 0. We want to be more transparent with the community on what we're building, how we're thinking about things, and how we're using your feedback to build our Tamriel together.
But now let's start the show, and we'll turn it over to Kira, Finn, and Wheeler to shed more light on the contents of Season 0.
Hello there. I'm Kira Roschlitt, lead of the Player Experience Improvements team.
And I'm Mike Finnegan, Associate Design Director for ESO. And on behalf of the team here at ZOS, we want to welcome you all to Season 0.
Season 0 is our first look at an evolving ESO experience. It brings a ton of quality of life updates based on your feedback and new types of content.
Speaking of which, let's begin with the Night Market. This is a new type of experience called an event zone, available for 7 weeks during Season 0. We have plans to bring it back later in the year and, depending on its reception, maybe add it permanently. It's encounter heavy with an emphasis on group play, but don't let that deter you from checking it out. Joining a group isn't required, so it's easy to hop in and play. The zone features multiple districts with unique aesthetics and many different types of activities. Calamitous world bosses, wandering trial level bosses, daring races, discoverable quests, unique relics to unlock, and a lot more. So the Night Market is a section of Fargrave, the Daedric realm, which opens and closes at the whims of magic beyond anyone's understanding. It's inaccessible when the market is closed, but when it opens, mortals and Daedra alike flock to the new districts in the hopes of scouring and finding new objects and items. Unique to the Night Market are factions. We have 3 NPC factions, and you will need to pick one to serve. Work together with your friends or other heroes to bring victory via quests and activities in the event zone. Rewards will be dished out to each faction based on performance. Which faction you choose will matter because at the end of the event zone, your faction will be rewarded based on how well it does. There are 3 factions, each with their own distinct methods and motivations within the Night Market. There's the Ruckus, the Bruiser faction preferring to rule through strength. The Glittering Goad, who has amassed great wealth from running all of the various auctions and stands within the Night Market. And finally, the Thousand Eyes, one of the oldest factions. They are the small, the insignificant, and thus the unnoticed. Each of the factions is competing with each other, and none are above using mortals to do their bidding. There are 3 districts within the Night Market, each with a distinct look, as well as a central hub called the Starlit Plaza. Each district has an associated relic that, once unlocked, will allow you to explore more and reach places previously forbidden. The districts are run by deadly creatures called Gilded, and are only reachable once the relic for that district has been uncovered. There are many rewards in the night market, spanning from temporary power gains to permanent cosmetics and unlocks. There's an awesome new house called the Knight's Den, which will be unlocked for free once players complete the initial quest. It has an entrance directly to the night market and new features inside. It's the perfect place to show off all your hard-earned loot. And that's not all. We have more rewards available for players that put their skills to work in the night market. While the night market is available for a limited time, it will come back with new twists in the future. And we can't wait for you all to play and let us know what you like and what we should tweak for future iterations.
Well, this bruiser is ready to swear allegiance to the ruckus.
1,000 Eyes is going to take you down.
Oh, we'll see. But as Finn mentioned earlier about tweaking and improving the player experience, the new player experience team is hard at work to improve your time in Tamriel. We want everyone from vets to first-timers to have an amazing time adventuring, exploring, and more. These quality of life updates are part of our mission to work with you, our players, to co-create your perfect ESO. Let's take a moment to review just some of what went live with Update 49. But first, why did we make these changes? We've heard your feedback and we agree. We need to not let outdated systems and bugs get in the way of the fun. Your time is valuable, so our first pass was to reduce unnecessary grind and friction that can bog down the experience. For example, we've tripled the efficacy of stable master training, so now you can do that 3 times as fast. We've reduced by nearly half the cost to upgrade both bag and bank. It's also critical for us to bring the game up to modern standards. Things like being able to respec for free in the menus, upgrade your bag in the UI, improve zone guide tracking, and our first change coming from last year's Guild Summit. You can now easily rep your guild without a tabard. For our customization endgamers, we've increased many furnishing limits, made all armor slots hideable, and improved outfit slots. These aren't one-off improvements, but rather an ongoing initiative where we continue to improve the game and deliver on long-requested features.
Speaking of new features, challenge difficulty, previously referred to as overland difficulty, is one of our most requested features by players. Earlier this year, we unveiled the system and how it will work, but to give you a brief refresher, it's an opt-in selection for players to tailor their experience in overland and overland-adjacent zones to their liking. Think delves, public dungeons, story instances, and the like, but trials, dungeons, arenas, infinite archive, and the new night market will be exempt. You select one of 4 difficulties and will take increased damage and do reduced damage to monsters while gaining increased experience and gold based on your selection. As we mentioned, the system is built to be able to add to it in the future. This could take the form of new monster abilities, achievements, golden pursuits, in addition to increased or unique rewards. The system is completely opt-in, so no one will be forced into choosing a difficulty they don't want, and it will not affect the players you see and group with, as each choice is character specific. We're very excited to see players get their hands on this, test it out, put it through its paces, and give us feedback so we can see how best to tweak and adjust it in the future. You'll see it in game on June 8th during Season 0.
We have some great updates surrounding combat and PvP that will release with Season 0 and future seasons. We'll leave it to our combat pro, Brian Wheeler, to share the details.
Thanks, Kira and Finn. I'm happy to be here today talking about all things combat and PvP for Season 0 and beyond. In 2025, we started a massive PvP journey together, codenamed Vengeance. Thanks to everyone who's been participating and providing feedback for that. The Vengeance test campaign was a special rule set for serial PvP with altered versions of abilities and character templates that reduce the stress on the server, allowing truly large-scale battles with a smooth connection and minimal lag. This also lowers the barrier for many players getting into PvP by giving everybody equal footing with their abilities and their stats. Vengeance is an ever-evolving campaign and will be adding new perks and additional skill lines or altering abilities within the campaign. During Season 0, we plan to have one more test for Vengeance addressing feedback about healing versus damage. We know larger battles in Vengeance can really hinge on whether you have more healing or more damage, which can lead to some prolonged battles where there doesn't seem to be a clear winner. We'll be trying out a few things with damage caps on area abilities and seeing how that plays out on the battlefield, but also on the server. On the tail end of Season 0, there will be a new reward system for players who participate in Cyrodiil, Imperial City, and Battlegrounds. We're calling this Veterancy, and its progression is keyed off alliance points and experience earned in those areas. As you level up in Veterancy, you'll earn new titles, perks, unique weapon and armor visuals, and a few skill styles you won't get anywhere else in ESO. This really gives our PvP players a new progression path and a badge of honor, something our PvP veterans can proudly show off. The rewards will be updated every 6 months, and some will carry over from season to season, giving you a chance to earn them in case you missed that initial drop. We invite everyone to see what's happening on the PvP side of things. Climb the ranks, and receive some unique rewards. Also, last year we asked about your feedback on ESO's classes, including pain points and overall thoughts on class identity. As part of our efforts to address that feedback and improve the overall look, feel, and balance of combat throughout 2026, all classes will receive updates that will round out and modernize them in relation to the current state of the game. You may have already seen the work completed on the Dragon Knight in Update 49. This included the video and audio refresh for abilities, but also their functionality to reinforce the Dragon Knight's power fantasy being rooted in the earth and fires of Tamriel. Also note, players can earn a full set of blue skill styles for Dragon Knight abilities in Season 0. In U49, the two-handed weapon skill line has been updated with new effects, animations, and audio adjustments to really emphasize that weight and force. There'll be more changes to weapon lines in the future to update their animations and effects as well. We're also looking into reinforcing the power and capabilities for those who don't dip into subclassing by introducing a new class mastery skill line for each class, with a few passives that increase your capabilities in various roles like tanking, support, and damage. We'll be releasing more information about this as we go through the development of these new class skill lines. We'll have more updates for combat and PvP as we share details on future seasons. In the meantime, keep the feedback coming, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Back to Kira and Finn.
Now that we've gone deep into features, let's talk about in-game events happening during Season 0. We'll kick things off with our Anniversary Jubilee event. This will lead into the launch of the night market. Then, to round things out, we will be bringing back the Zeal of Zenithar event. We've been working to find a balance with having our regular events, new ones, and refreshing the ones that exist to keep the game exciting and rewarding throughout.
There's lots coming in Season 0. Did we mention that the launch was imminent?
We'll see you all in Tamriel for our very first season very soon. Let's turn it over to Jason Barnes.
Bye for now.
But together.
But together.
But together.
But together. Bye for now.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Barnes, Associate Design Director on the Elder Scrolls Online, and today I'm really excited to walk you through the new content that's coming with Season 1. The team's been really hard at work on a bunch of things that we can finally talk about in more detail, which really feels great. With the new season model, the content team is still focused on what we do best. It's stories with depth, interesting and beautiful areas to explore, and just more moments where you get to make choices and really mold the story to your character. But we're also taking a familiar type of content and giving it a new twist and adding even more new activities out in the world. The goal is really simple. Make Discovery feel exciting again and give you more fun stuff to run into while you're out there exploring. So, let's get into it. First up, the Thieves Guild is coming back. This is a continuation of the original guild story, but with a new cast and taking place in Glenumbra. You'll be teaming up with Quinn from the original Thieves Guild story as they try to expand into Daggerfall itself. But there's another group, the Kaldane Cartel, stirring up trouble in the shadows. You'll need to pair up with some unlikely allies to uncover what it is the cartel's after and get to it first. Gameplay-wise, we've got new places to hide in the world, like flower pots and behind curtains. We have a new thieving item called Somno Powder that lets you stun guards and other NPCs while you're sneaking around. And you'll even acquire a mythic item during the quest line that you can upgrade over time to make it stronger. And like all of our stories, you can jump into this even if you haven't done the original Thieves Guild quests yet. But if you have played the original first, you'll see more options and some unique dialogue. And since Thieves Guild is part of the base game now, yeah, go play it. While we're in Glenumbra, I also want to call out the art team. They've been doing a bunch of work to bring the zone more in line with our newer areas, updating building textures and props, plus lighting and clutter passes similar to the zone refreshes we've done before. Now, if you want something that's not all stealth and a little bit more chaotic, we've also got a Sheogorath questline in Season 1. It's basically Sheo deciding he wants to experience life as a mortal for a while. So he sets his power aside and goes wandering around Tamriel doing very normal mortal things, like showing up at cheese festivals as you do. And of course, it turns into complete chaos. His powers start doing their own thing, people try to steal them, everything spirals, and it's just Sheogorath being Sheogorath. It'll take you all over the world across 6 quests, and it gets weirder and weirder the deeper you go. But quests aren't the only thing we've been working on. We've also been looking at some of our older ways of delivering content and figuring out a way to freshen them up. So, let's talk favors. Favors are a new take on daily quests. They're tied to specific characters and guilds, and they send you all over the world doing a mix of different activities. They're kind of an homage to the old hireling letters in the sense that each favor has an ongoing story that's attached to it. Every day you complete a specific favor, you'll get a letter that continues that character or guild's narrative. And once you finish their story arc, you get a special reward that's tied to them. Something personal, like a self-portrait you can hang in your house. It's also a fun excuse for us to bring back characters you haven't seen in a long time and check in on what they've been up to. People like Tellinger the Artificer, Holgren One-Eye, and lots of others. And then there's something totally new. Rumors. Think of rumors as optional narrative scavenger hunts hidden out in the world. You'll find a rumor, get a set of clues, and then it's on you to follow the trail and figure out what's really going on. To help, there's going to be a new rumor section in your journal where you can track the clues you've collected and reference them as you go along. But it's old school in the best way possible. There's no UI telling you exactly where to go or who to talk to. You get the goal, you get the clues, and then you go solve it. It honestly feels a bit like classic Morrowind questing from Test 3. You're using your brain to figure things out, or search engines and wikis once those come out for those who just want to get things done, and that's fine too. One final note on rumors is some even have multiple endings. You might think that you've solved it, but if you pay really close attention, you can uncover that there's a whole nother layer that changes how you see the whole story. Next up, because I have even more to talk about, dynamic world events. Dynamic world events pull from a few things we already know that players like. It's a combination of bigger public challenges like Hero Storms and Dark Anchors, as well as finding these interesting little moments that you stumble across out in the wild. Like the mage stuck in a bubble in Solstice, or the frog that just straight up eats a dude as you walk by them. Dynamic world events can pop up across the world. They scale based on how many players jump in, and they have several stages that you work through to succeed. And they're not just kill stuff until a boss spawns either. We've got different sizes of events and different goals within each of them. You might be rescuing animals in danger, or defending a farm under attack, or even teaming up to hunt down an epic vampire that's causing trouble all across the zone. And this is just the starting point. Dynamic world events aren't a one-and-done Season 1 thing. We want to keep expanding this system as we go forward, so keep an eye out. And finally, the last thing I'm going to cover today, because we've covered a lot, is something called the Sage's Vault. The Sage's Vault is this space between realms that safeguards Sage Vornet's most prized possessions, and it's something you're going to learn a lot more about during the new Thieves Guild story. To get in, you're going to need to track down nowhere keys all out in the world. You'll earn these by doing some of the new activities in Season 1, as well as some other means. Now, once you're inside, you're going to have 3 wings that you can tackle in whatever order you want. Each wing is made up of a series of rooms, and the order of those rooms, with some of the elements inside of them, are all randomized, so each run feels different and distinct. But here's the important part. This content isn't about damage numbers or perfect gear sets. Each room is built around puzzles, traps, stealth, and even some pretty wild traversal challenges that the team's cooked up. A big part of this experience is uncovering secrets in each of the individual rooms and then realizing how those secrets connect to the other rooms. The vault itself is one giant puzzle, and you're trying to piece it together over time to unlock its best rewards. And because we know randomization can get frustrating when you're trying to learn a space like this, we've built in a checkpoint style system as well. You'll be able to find maps that let you travel directly to specific rooms. So once you start to figure things out, you can be more intentional about what you're tackling next. It's experimental, it's full of challenges we haven't really done before, and we're really thrilled for players to get in and check it out. Now, before I go, I know there's been lots of questions about how new story content's gonna work with seasons. And I really hope we answered at least some of that today. I also know people are wondering if we're still doing new zones. What I can say is this: in addition to everything in season 1, we're really hard at work on a new zone that's built around a stronger sense of exploration and discovery, and not just a templated list of things to do. That's it for me today, and thank you for hanging out, and please enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey everyone, I'm Amethyst Begley, Senior Content Producer and a new face here. Thanks so much for joining us today as we share exciting details coming to future ESO seasons. What exactly do we mean when it comes to experimental content? Well, let me tell you a little bit about the High Seas of Tamriel. This is a new type of event that introduces naval combat elements, undersea exploration, and various oceanic encounters. We're talking ship battles, deep-sea fishing, maybe even puzzles and combat sequences on the ocean floor. No matter your playstyle, solo or group-based, this event is poised to bring you fun and challenge. If you like high seas adventures, unique underwater locations, and of course, pirates, you'll want to dive in when it launches. From swashbuckling to dungeon crawling, get ready for solo dungeons. For this highly requested content, we're rolling out versions of previously released dungeons reimagined for solo players and players with companions, beginning with 2 solo dungeons: Moonhunter Keep and March of Sacrifices. You said you'd love to experience the story of dungeons without a rush pace that often accompanies group play. We heard you, and this is the perfect way to do that. For those that want a more casual story experience, you can jump right in and experience the story solo or with your companion. For those who seek out a challenge, there are opt-in mechanics at the entrance to make your run a bit spicier. And on the rewards front, there will be new monster masks and other cosmetic items for solo dungeon completion. Last thing from me, fans of Trials and ESO, rejoice. Our development team is cooking up a new one for this year. Crimson Veldt, our first base game trial in 12 years, is set in a section of Hircine's hunting grounds. It's the familiar gameplay you've come to love with ESO Trials, but also some new wrinkles to challenge folks. Hard mode base pop. That's right, we heard your feedback and are incorporating this feature into Crimson Veldt. Stay tuned to the ESO website and social channels for updates and more details on everything coming soon.
And with that, we're almost at the end of the show, but we have a couple last things we want to talk about.
First off, later this year, ESO will be launching on PC Game Pass and Xbox Play Anywhere. So if you're a PC or a handheld player, you'll have a new way available to explore Tamriel.
Lastly, we have something very special we want to share today.
It's time for a little bit of a weather report, Nick. So later this year, you can expect storms to gather across some of the coldest, most wintry regions of Tamriel, and to continue wreaking havoc well into early 2027. And where, you might ask? Blizzards are known to appear in at least one familiar corner of Tamriel.
Many of you picked up on the hint in our January reveal and guessed right. These disturbances will sweep through portions of Skyrim and ESO.
You'll discover exactly what these storms are building towards as we explore an iconic region never before explored in ESO. So prepare yourself for what's coming in our first season of 2027.
Skyrim season in ESO. I'm incredibly excited for this, not just for the location, but for our first ever excursion zone and the team's new take on what a zone can be.
And with that, we're wrapping up this year's ESO Seasons Direct.
A very special thanks to all of you who've joined us today and for being part of this community. Let's build our Tamriel together.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our first roundtable discussion. We'd like to take some time to sit down with some of our developers that have been hard at work bringing everything to life. Today, we're going to be focused on diving into the motivation, the inspiration, and the passion behind everything you just heard about. ESO is nothing without our players. So we brought in some amazing guests to represent our community and take part in the conversation today. I am pleased to be joined by the following team members and close friends of mine. We have Jason Barnes, Mike Finnegan, and of course the one and only Mrs. Ninetails. We'll begin our discussion around the studio's motivation to build experimental content, what that is exactly, why we think it's the right move, and how the community's feedback will be critical. After that, I'll throw it over to Just Folsom, who will have some additional chats surrounding the player experience improvements, as well as combat and class updates. So we have a lot to get through. We're going to jump right in. Let's start by just talking about experimental content. Finn, how would you define experimental in this case?
So in essence, experimental content is content where we need new tech or new techniques. Night Market's a really good example of that while the structure of a zone is kind of known, this is way different. It's a lot bigger. There's a whole favor system on the back end, how we spawn up the skirmishes, the whole UI aspect. So that all needed kind of new tech. And sometimes it's also taking tech that we have and techniques that we have and then packaging it in a new way. So dungeons, we've been doing dungeons for 13 years. We know exactly how to do dungeons. How do we take that experience, learn from it, and then make it for solo players?
With the content team, it's kind of similar. You know, we've been doing a certain type of content and quests for a lot of years, and it worked great for many, many years, but it kind of became predictable. And so we were like, well, when we want to change it up and experiment, like how do we do that? And I think the first thing is kind of stepping away from the rules a little bit and saying, this is what we know we can do. What if we do some of that, but also take some of that time just to step off into another direction, maybe throw some ideas at the wall, see what maybe fits the theme, and go from there. And so for experimental for us is really just stepping outside of our safe zone a little bit and try new things like rumors, where, you know, it's not quest content. I like to call it narrative treasure hunts in the world, and you have to kind of figure out how that all works. But we also have the vault, which is totally from the ground up. I call it like the fun maze. Every room has some unique type of gameplay that you go through, and there's tons of secrets that you have to kind of uncover as you go through it as well. So that's kind of what we mean when we say that.
It's nice to hear kind of your perspective on what experimental content is, because I can guarantee that what you guys kind of define it as, the community probably sees that very differently. I think maybe it's going to help quell some, you know, potential miscommunication or expectations of, you know, when you say we're getting experimental, that may mean something different to us. So I appreciate that kind of definition to hopefully, like I said, quell some of that.
There's another definition of experimental too, is when we're putting something out to the community, we want to see, you know, how they react. And that's experimental in its own right, of saying, hey, this is something brand new that we've never done before, and let's put this out there and see the feedback and the reaction that we get.
And if you like it, awesome. And if you don't, then we'll look at why you don't and see if we can do it, or we say, hey, okay, this didn't land. Cool. We didn't lose, like, you know, a ton of time on it, but we can go and try new things in the future and kind of veer off in a different direction.
Yeah. And some of the new stuff is like foundational, right? Where we're starting with the new stuff and then building on it for the future.
I know in your community, you focus a lot on, you know, new players and helping folks that maybe haven't played the game in a while, but there's all different play styles in your guild and in your community. So I bet they're pretty stoked for all the things that we're working on.
Yes, it's, you know, for a while we've kind of felt like, you know, everybody's lined up for, you know, their turn at some content, right? And we have so many play styles. You know, we have our, you know, more hardcore, you know, trial players, our PvPers, our casuals, our housers, the people that love to quest. We have so many across the board. So it always felt like, you know, kind of waiting like, all right, the trial's coming, it's my turn, and gonna get some dungeons, it's my turn, and then, you know, some housing updates, that's so cool. So it feels like, you know, with this kind of model that you guys are going with, it's gonna hit so many more play styles and kind of, you know, roll out so that we don't feel like we're kind of waiting in line for things, and it's really going to, you know, hit broader on the community than it kind of has in the past.
Before we sort of had to hold things, and we were beholden to, you know, the chapter release and certain beats for things to go out, but now we can just kind of release it when it's ready, which is really cool. Talking about this wide range of content, how do you think all this is going to resonate with the community?
You know, we're super hopeful because we're sticking with what we know, right? Like narrative and storytelling, that's always the heartbeat, of a lot of, like, especially like a lot of people play ESO and they play it solo, right? They play it like a single player game. We're never going to get away from that. But I think we are also trying to just have more types of gameplay in general.
It's definitely a delicate balancing act of appealing to the long-term fans that we have, but then taking maybe some of the experiences they've had and adding on to it. The night market's a good example. There's a lot of group kind of activities and stuff in there. Dynamic world events, if you're used to incursions or even random, what we call RDS, random distraction content, if you see that, this is another take on that and evolving kind of these experiences.
One of the biggest things I've heard from the community, you know, my community, other communities, is that, you know, everybody's afraid, you know, on the roadmap, it gets put out, very high level. If they're not seeing something that fits their content style, they're worried that, oh my God, it's gonna go away, right? You know, we've definitely heard, you know, Zone was a big one, right? It's nice to hear that, like I said, we're not gonna stray from that, because there's so many people. Like I said, I've been around 12 years and I love what we do, but, you know, again, change is hard, right? You know, we've been doing something for so long, and, you know, everybody wants to still feel at home here.
You know, we're gonna be changing some things, but we're still making an Elder Scrolls game, right? Like, we're still gonna be telling stories, and to your point earlier, like, stories is part of our DNA, and that's what we do.
One of the things is we've committed to moving the timeline forward.
That's huge.
And so now we can, like, do long-term planning on that type of stuff and like build out huge storylines. And I used to joke, it was like whenever we would release a new chapter, since everything had to take place at the same time, it's basically like writing chapter 1 through 3 of a new book and then going to a next book. So
I was just gonna say, it actually is design-wise, it helps us a little bit that we don't have to like, okay, well, if this happens here and that happened there, then how does this happen and stuff. It's solving puzzles
of our own making.
After 10 plus years of content,
becomes
a very intricate and complex cube of like storytelling. And it's like, oh yeah, I met this character here, but I don't know if I remember them from here. And so this is gonna help a lot going forward. And again, storytelling, right? We're gonna keep doing that. Gonna see a lot of cool stuff later on too, right? So yeah.
All I'm saying is if the, choices and, getting to flirt a little bit leads to being able to romance the characters, I don't think the community is gonna be mad.
My number one question when I ever go somewhere is,
it is absolutely
when can I kiss Razum
Yes,
Dar?
nobody's gonna be mad. Just throwing that out there.
So I know for you, Miss Ninetails, the Thieves Guild story specifically, I think that hits home for you, right?
Yes. So Nine's a big fan of the Thieves Guild.
Okay.
He loves it. To see us revisit the Thieves Guild again is really exciting, and I'm kind of curious. There's so many great guilds to run back on. Why them?
We showed a preview of Dark Brotherhood, and I was like, we can't do that. I just want to do something completely opposite and just say experimental content. Thank you. No, I think Thieves Guild has always resonated with the player base. It's also kind of an interesting thing where if you play Dark Brotherhood, it's like, okay, you're a killer, like you're a very specific type of player. Thieves Guild is a little bit more neutral. Like you can be a gray thief, right? And I think it just has a little bit of more appeal to that. And not to say that we won't touch things with like Dark Brotherhood and stuff in the future, but just talking through it and going back and being able to kind of continue that story even. We bring back Quinn from the original Thieves Guild, which a lot of people liked, and continue her story, because she's kind of at the whole beginning of this. She's putting this together. And so you're helping her out along the way, and we really like her character, and so we can base a story around it. And it just kind of organically fell in place that way.
A little bit of both happening at the same time kind of thing, where we're like, oh, we want to kind of, do we want to explore Thieves Guild? What mechanics do we want to do? And they kind of all gelled.
And that is one thing that we're trying to just do more of too, is having things that are thematically linked to stuff. A lot of times we'll just throw a system in the game and it was like, cool, it exists on its own thing, scribing, Tales of Tribute, have storylines associated with them. I know, because I did them. But they didn't necessarily feel linked to what you were doing. So with this, it's like, oh, you learn about a lot of these things. You're introduced to some of these mechanics and systems during the storyline, and trying to do more of that too.
Building on that, kind of like the Sage's Vault is a good example of, while it's thematically kind of initially linked to the Thieves Guild, that doesn't mean it ends in the Thieves Guild number stuff. We can carry forward. This kind of what we were talking about earlier, building for the future and stuff. We can absolutely, or we have built that system that we can build on in the future. So.
Jason, I'm glad you mentioned something about feedback, because on that topic, I know you both, Jason and Finn, spend a lot of time receiving feedback and reading through a lot of feedback. So how do you take all of that back to the teams? Like, what is that process like?
I've always said that there's a nugget of truth in feedback in kind of all of the feedback we get, whether we get it abrasively, whether we get it nicely, but in boiling down to kind of get to the heart of that. And I think Solo Dungeons is a really good example of that, because we've gotten a lot of feedback over the years where players are like, I want to experience dungeons, but I go in there and somebody rushes through it and I don't get to hear what the NPCs are saying or anything like that. So the feedback has been, we want some incentive to kind of experience these stories, like maybe to slow people down or something. Right. And what does it boil down to? It really boils down to, I want to experience a story. And that's kind of how Solo Dungeons were born. It was like, okay, well, they want to experience the story in here, and how can we do that? What if we make these dungeons solo? So there is no distractions, there is no other people there. That's the controllable kind of variable that we have in there. So when you go into Solo Dungeons, you're gonna be able to choose kind of different levels of difficulty. There's gonna be all kinds of new rewards. You're actually not gonna get the same rewards as you would in a normal dungeon, because we still want the normal dungeons, the group dungeons, to be incentivized for players to go in there. So we have a different kind of reward schemes set up for Solo Dungeons.
Coming at it from a community point of view, what guidance do you have for us just to ensure that we're listening and we're kind of implementing this stuff in the best way possible?
Yeah, so I've gotten to spend some time with you guys being down here, and we've had a lot of conversations. I think we're on the same page that, communication was definitely a big hurdle. You guys read everything, right? But from a community's perspective, there's no response there, right? So are they reading it? Because we're not getting that kind of like validation of like, we hear you, we see you, we validate your feelings. So I think, that's been a big point in contention for quite a while now. And I think you guys have done, again, a total 180 on that communication, like seriously, and keep heading in that direction because, at the end of the day, players want to be seen and heard and feel like they are valued. I mean, you guys have already started down that path, and I think it's, sticking to that's going to be huge for the community.
Yeah. You'll get tired of us soon.
Never.
Especially when I'm on there. I'm like, what's everyone's favorite soda? Here, Paul the
exactly. Who do we romance next?
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that one would get some attention.
Sure would.
We've been talking about doing another guild summit sometime this year, maybe even doing some more focused summits, like, a housing summit or something. So those kind of sub-communities can sit down with the teams and just have a dialogue directly.
I mean, romance summit. What NPCs do we want?
I have line out the door.
Yeah, we got this.
I really do feel like that between our studio and the community, we really inspire one another through the feedback and the discussions and the creations that get made. So let's talk a little bit about what inspires you. What feeds your passion to just continue adding to the game, and in your case, adding to the community?
Yeah, so for me personally, we've been in the community for 12 years. ESO has been such a massive part of our lives, right? Like, it is so ingrained in our household. Something that Nine and I recently kind of ventured out on is we're actually starting a nonprofit. And we realized that, within our community, there's a lot of isolation, right? Gaming, you're online, it's anonymous. You kind of get walled off in your own area. And we saw that as an opportunity to try and, bring people out to kind of get the community together. And we're starting a nonprofit that was completely inspired by ESO to start and bring these fantasy experiences to conventions for people to, come out, meet other members of the community. We really wanted to bring everybody's love for ESO and connect people that way. And, we'd love to, expand to other worlds. But at the end of the day, ESO's the content that started it. And we did it for the first time last year at GCX, and we got such an overwhelmingly positive reception to it. I know you guys mentioned you even heard about it.
And, absolutely.
It's gone beyond just stream for us.
Yeah. It's kind of like the lifeblood of what we do, and seeing player feedback and stuff. Feedback that we got from people at the tavern, for instance, in live, in person and stuff about what about rewarding golden experience, and say, okay, that gave us a nugget to kind of explore and see if that would kind of move the needle, and that kind of gets the process going and stuff. So yeah, a lot of that feedback is directly related to features that we're putting in the game.
I mean, going to the tavern, some of the...
I love it every year.
That whole event in Germany is just so fun. And, the amount of guilds and community members that come out to that and just are enjoying themselves.
If you get a chance to go.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's funny because you go to an event like that and there's times where you just kind of stand back. It hits you and you're just like, holy crap, our team helped build this. This is something that it's something we've put years and years of our life into, and to see this and just, it's very overwhelming. And when you get back, you want to share that feeling with the team because it is so inspiring, and it just gets you all fueled up and ready to go.
It reinvigorates. And it's not only that, it's also we say the tavern and we go there and it's great and we're able to talk to community and stuff, but to see all the people that come there not to talk to us, for a lot of people at the tavern in particular, that's their once a year guild meetup. And they come from all over the world even to meet up with their fellow guildmates, and they all grab a table and they're able to hang out for the weekend and stuff. And to see that, yes, talking to the players is fantastic. We love to do that. But then to also see people just enjoying their guilds together is just fantastic. Yeah, and it's very reinvigorating to be able to kind of see that and experience that.
I don't think you guys realize sometimes what kind of impact you've had. And like I said, I look back again, 12 years of my life. I said, this is 2 weeks short of, me being with my husband. This is the longest thing I've ever done in my life. And out of this, I've gotten my best friends. I've gotten my family. I'm going to be going to my second wedding for guild members.
Nice.
I don't think you guys realize how much you really do impact, without sounding too, cheesy, but
kumbaya.
Yeah, right.
Where's the tissue?
Yeah, but that's like I said, you guys did that. No. If it weren't for you, it wouldn't exist and we wouldn't have that. So Yeah, that's my sappy, you know.
Oh,
We appreciate it.
We need a group hug after this.
Well, this has been a really great conversation, and want to thank all three of you for your time and just sharing your stories and some insight. It's been really nice. But we have a whole nother roundtable to do, so we're going to pass things over to Jess to take it away over there.
So let's keep the discussion going with my good friends from the ESO dev team and one of our ESO creators. We've got Kira Ross-Schlitt here and Brian Wheeler, as well as our community guest, the wonderful Calawan. As Gina mentioned, we'll be discussing campaigns to improve the many facets of our beloved game, whether it be general quality of life updates, bug fixes or campaigns, and tests or improvements to PvP. It is incredibly important to us to continue to evolve ESO and deliver the very best experiences for everyone. So without further ado, let's get into it. How has that evolution of gaming informed our seasonal approach and the future of ESO?
Let's start with the short stuff. When people come to ESO, I really want to make sure that they're not being forced to spend time on these systems that feel outdated now, before they can really get to the part that they want to do, that they can play their way and have fun and focus on the good stuff. Like you said, the gaming landscape has changed, trends have changed, how we approach time and progression has changed, and we took that barrier out, so you don't have to port back to a shrine before you can do that.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to see that. I've been playing MMOs a long time, and I really appreciate it, and I know my community really appreciated it. There was a lot of great stuff in those player experience improvements, just sort of removing some of that friction from the game so that we can get to the parts that we do really enjoy. I'm honestly excited to hear more about how you're going to continue to approach that with seasons.
We're really trying to make sure that we're respecting your time, not just in one particular area of the game. Like, it's going to be holistic that we're looking at your time spent. And again, with the progression system for PvP, that's just one of them that we're working on.
I love hearing that too, right? So regardless of what type of PvP that I like to participate in, whether it's Battlegrounds or Cyrodiil, whether it's Vengeance or Greyhost, I can still work towards this system.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I mean, you saw a sneak peek today.
Yeah, I did, and I'm excited. It looks real cool, and I think it's been a long time coming as well, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely jazzed about it too. And like hearing everybody from the studio, like, yeah, let's go, let's get some more stuff in there. Like, starting with Vengeance last year, and everybody on board with it has been great, and the team's been all about it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I'm a sucker for collectibles. So,
there you go.
You'll get me back into Cyrodiil as soon as there's something new to collect. So.
It's not only we want less friction, we want your time to be better spent, but we also want it to literally feel more rewarding, right? So the Tamriel Tomes, the Gold Coast Bazaar, all of these are really about making it easier to earn rewards in-game by doing the things that you want to do.
And less grind.
And less grind, right? And again, let's take a more holistic approach. Let's take out the things that are starting to feel perhaps a little outdated, like daily rewards, and move some of that into the tome so that you can have a more integrated experience. Also, I think it gives you more flexibility about when and how you want to engage. And less pressure. So if you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. If you like to spend 8 hours on a Saturday, then great, do that. You can still make progress and not feel, oh, dang, I missed out logging in every single day.
Yes.
I love that too, not having to log in every day, make sure that I can still get access to those rewards, not feel so much pressure to get the daily endeavors done. The coolest thing for me was finally having some more agency over what those rewards actually are.
100%.
Completing the tome and then being able to go to the Gold Coast Bazaar and buy the XP scrolls or whatever it is that I need rather than,
just what's
more
offered today.
Yeah, right.
How are we approaching these long-term campaigns, knowing that the goal is to improve the overall player experience in ESO?
The DK came out in 49,
Yep.
and that was the start of this long haul. We really want to take our time, make sure we're doing this right, make sure that what we deliver, and I think, with the DK, everybody was like, that's really good, yes, do more of that. Like when you saw the DK, that got you excited for the Warden or whatever else is coming up next.
And I like that we're taking the time to give each class its own moment, which also internally gives all the teams that are working on that, the audio team, the visual effects team, the combat team, that same time to work together on any adjustments or improvements.
Yep, and that's really key, like trying to make sure that every class has its chance to shine. And again, we're not gonna ignore the other class or balance points as we're doing this. We know that it's a live game. And as things crop up from build X or Y, we'll look at it and handle it, but we're trying to really make sure every class gets its spotlight.
We're trying to take our time so that we can think about things holistically instead of hitting them as individual one-offs.
Yeah.
Us focusing on guild housing is really a big one, right? We started with the Guild Summit last year. We really wanted to get the feedback from the players. What are they most excited about? What are their biggest pain points? How can we best help support them, because they do such important, awesome work educating, getting people involved, and we need
running events,
right? And being able to help support that is really important. We are also planning to really focus as we develop the design about going to players and saying, hey, here's how we're going to hit this. Does this work for you? Does this make sense with what you're looking for?
Yeah, and he's actually part of that. Cal's all about we got the Warden discussions happening soon, and he's like, yes, I want to be part of it. So it's working
I'm
out.
not sure who beat me to signing up for that, but someone.
So let's switch gears to talk about the player experience improvements that you and your team are working on. I will say, one of the things that I'm most excited about and love seeing is how we are utilizing PTS feedback more, and it's happening in real time. So I have a good example of that. With Update 49 PTS, we announced the housing furnishing limit increasing, and players were very excited to hear about that. But they asked a question that we hadn't thought about, and they said, with the furnishing cap increases, and you asked this too, Kalma.
I did.
What about the player cap increase for visitors in housing? Because they expected that to go with the furnishing increase. Makes sense. So we said, Kira, what do you think? Is this something that we could make happen?
We have the ability to now even consider these things, right? We're not quite on this treadmill the same way anymore, and we have a team who's looking at these things. And so I, called all the experts and I said, what's the risk here? Because everything in ESO does have consequences. It's something all the changes we do have to be handled really thoughtfully and carefully so it doesn't end up impacting another system or the overall player experience.
Right.
But we looked at this one and we're like, you know what? This is an opportunity to make this even better, even more what players ask for, give them a little bit more flexibility, allow them to make even snugger in rooms with more people coming to visit, and then continue to look about how we can keep making it better.
And it happened so fast.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I was like, really? We can tell the players we're going to do it? Sweet. And then it happened in Update 49.
Yeah. Many things in ESO, if you change them, they have consequences.
Yeah.
Butterfly effect is real.
Right. So we still have to be thoughtful about what we're doing, but taking those little wins that we can do, or the things that are easier and give that immediate return, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great list. It really read like, my personal, top 20 wish list of player experience improvements. I'm obviously very excited about the increased furnishing limits. I design a lot of houses in ESO and I can't wait to revisit those. But, like you were just saying, as soon as I realized what I would be able to do with an in-room, I realized that I was going to want to have more than one person come visit and check it out. So thank you for turning that around so quickly. It is awesome. And again, I know everyone in the housing community is going to be really excited.
All right, so thanks. That was a good conversation about the player experience improvements. So let's just shift over to
Oh boy.
classes and combat for a bit. So
It's like, all right, let the bullet
the first wave
start
of these
flying,
went
right?
live
Yeah.
with the DK, with Update 49. So what is everyone looking forward to with these efforts?
Directly in Season 0, the thing that I'm excited about finally getting out there is Vengeance being full-time, but also veterancy progression. So this is a new system that we're putting in where you're able to get rewards for PvP. And again, like we said earlier, doing it in Imperial City or Battlegrounds or any campaign.
Right.
Any Cyrodiil campaign.
Any Cyrodiil campaign, right. So Grey Host, Vengeance, whatever campaigns we have up afterwards, it's going to be earnable through that with a combination of XP and AP earned. And you're going to get cool weapons and armor, not like, one like sets, but actual visuals.
Right.
So you can apply that to anything. A couple different skill styles as well that you won't be able to get anywhere else. But that is like, the gang is jazzed about that coming out. You're going to get new titles and all kinds of stuff, but the Warden on the class side, the crew is excited about that as well, for sure. We're trying to spread that theme around. Same thing with animals and for seasons or nature. So
creating just sort of a more cohesive class kit, I guess.
Yeah, very much like how Arcanist and Necro, their feel is spread throughout the entire skill lines. They have their specific tanking, DPS, and support line as well, but the feel of the Arcanist is holistic. Same thing with the Necro. But part of all that is tied to the feedback loop, but also just statistics that we've seen, all the data, like when we see who's subclassing and who isn't, we're using that data as part of these discussion points as well.
Right.
We are going to be introducing basically a new skill line for every class. We're calling it Class Mastery, where it's going to have some passives that sort of boost you up a little bit for whether you're DPS, tanking, or support. There's going to be a couple, broader passives that we have in there too. But it's going to be, another layer for the high end to be like, okay, how do I play as a DK or play as a Warden or play as a Templar? So it's going to be a case where this is going to evolve as well, because we're putting that out sooner than all the other classes are getting done. So this is going to be a case where these mastery lines are going to evolve, and they're going to exist beyond the refresh. We're going to keep, analyzing and seeing what people are doing. If a certain build is lacking due to pure classing, we'll look and see what we can do in the mastery lines to try and help pump that up.
Again, something really exciting to hear. I think that was one of the key pieces of feedback on the DK refresh was that a pure DK still wasn't quite at the level of a subclass build.
How do you think that we are positioned to garner attention back to players who may not have played in a while, and we'd love to have them come back and give it another shot?
Many ways, we hope. But I'd definitely say that one of the big ones, and we've heard it requested for a very long time, and we've been working on it, but it's big and it's complicated, is of course crossplay. I think it is important to say crossplay is not coming in 2026.
Yes, yes.
But we are working on it. We are making good progress on this. And this is something that is really important to us. And we also want to make sure that we do it in a way that feels good, right? We're also really looking at how ESO can be overwhelming for everybody.
Quest markers everywhere.
Yeah, right?
10+ years.
Right. All these systems layered on top of each other. So we're going to be looking at things like, we have Heroes Return for people who've been away for a while. We're doing some updates to that. We're doing one for new users that sort of kicks in after Cold Harbor and helps sort of lead them along a little bit. And one of the other ones we're looking at is trying to smooth out the experience from level 50 to CP 160. Right? So really looking at how can we make it easier to come back into ESO if you've been away a while, and also just make it easier if you have friends for them to just join and play, right?
That's great. I know anybody who's played an MMO or even
oh my God, coming back. Yeah, you're
honestly,
like, what do I do?
A more complicated game, especially with something that has a 10+ year history, you come back after not playing for a year or more and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
Where did I leave? What are these quests? What's in my inventory? So this is all really great.
Right. That accessibility is really awesome. Whether it's PvP or PvE or just figuring out the systems, I know how overwhelming it can be because I see those people show up in my Discord or in my guild, and some of the questions seem really, mundane, but
we've been playing for forever.
Right.
So,
exactly. I think we're all subject to our own bubbles in some way there, right? I'm honestly just impressed with the overall volume of the player experience improvements and a lot of the stuff that's coming. I know, some of it isn't necessarily the kind of thing that makes the back of the box, I like to say, but I think it makes a big difference to players in the game, and I'm just really excited to see what's next.
As we're working through this seasonal content, why do you think it's more important than ever for ESO to focus on community?
It's interesting from the player perspective and the creator perspective because we are all invested in this game right alongside you guys.
So much. Yeah. Yes.
Obviously, as a YouTube channel, I want people to play the game. I want people to watch the videos. And so I want ESO to grow and thrive. And I want it to grow as much as it can. I want more features and more stuff and, more houses to collect. And so I think a lot of players feel that. And that's why they're so passionate about it, right? They have great ideas and they obviously want to see it at the table and they want their voices heard.
Yes.
And, it's very personal, right?
So many of us are players ourselves, and we run into these same friction points and pain points that our players do. And because we were on that, chapter treadmill, it was really hard to pull the time out to be able to focus that way. But this game is not for us, it's for the community.
Yes.
And so being able to deliver on these long requested features, to fix the things that are driving them nuts that aren't meant to be that way. It's incredibly heartwarming to get to see the reception to these changes, but it's also, it gives us more power to want to keep making it better and stronger, so that ESO can be that 30-year game that we talk about.
One of the things that got actually brought up today in the team chat, somebody said, well, if the players are getting excited, then that makes me excited to do more work.
Yeah.
And that's infectious. And anytime we can either give more background or more details, like earlier today, talking about actual metrics that we can talk about with people, like showing the graphs for vengeance, like people being able to see like the why we do the decisions and being able to explain it is really exciting. Oh my God, yeah, it's really exciting to be able to bridge that gap as opposed to just being, well, we did it. And people are like, well, why did you do it? And then we can explain it more, and I think that's really cool.
Don't leave me to my own device. Don't leave me to my own devices.
All right, well, I think that is a wrap. So Brian, Calamon, and Kira, thank you so much for joining and taking the time to chat today. It's been a pleasure talking with you all, and we hope you all enjoyed this and have a great evening. We will see you in Tamriel. Why did I say have a great evening?
Because it's dark outside.
I know.